Kelly Slater, the 11-time world champ, will be out there in the red up against injury replacement Stuart Kennedy, who'll be surfing in the blue jersey. A great matchup in a number of sessions, so obviously a little frustration going into this first stop. But while we were at the break, Stu Kennedy from Lennox Head got started against the 11-time world champ.
Speed has never been an issue for this guy right here. You see him absolutely flying down the line on that wave. That is not a great choice though. You can see wave selection. That wave didn't offer that big clean wall where you can, get the judge's attention with big maneuvers. Big old hack off the top where you're throwing spray everywhere. So even though he's looking really fast and crisp, should be a pretty small score.
That's it. Well, Sebastian, those heats are so stressful for us watching. Just how stressful is round 2 as a competitor?
Well, if I was on tour all year, it would be stressful, but since I'm a wild card, it's like, whatever, you're coming up against top seeds, and I was just glad that I kind of surfed smart, and kind of just had a lot of waves that kind of came at the end there that I could have gone. I just stood my ground, and then, somebody sent me one, and it was a pretty good wave, and yeah, it was a really slow heat. Tide's kind of getting funky, and yeah, you got to pick them.
And playing that wild card role, obviously we've seen you as a fully fledged tour surfer, but getting that call up, you look more fired up than ever.
Yeah, I think I've just on the off season been training a bit, lost a bunch of weight, and kind of really frothing to get back on the QS. Like, oh, I got to lose weight, like for the small waves. So to get the call up to come here was amazing. I came down last week and got to score, like pumping waves, and
On his way, taking a big scalp in his travels, Stu Kennedy started this heat with a 4.5 and uses priority for this one. Nice size wave. There is some bigger sets out there today, but typically you want the medium-sized waves that stick to the inside and don't push too far out into the channel.
But wave choice up against Kelly Slater, it's going to have to be perfect. Great start to this wave for Kelly. He's on that Greg Weber design, a ton of rocker on that thing. It is called the banana for a reason, and you can see it, that nose flipped up into the air. So it really likes to react in the curve of the wave. And you can see as soon as he hooks up with the best part of the wave, he absolutely knifes through it. So a couple of big maneuvers there for Kelly, but this wave absolutely sizzled on the inside. So Kelly knows he's going to hop on the back of the sled, so he's just going to milk this thing all the way past Little Marley. Not going to be a huge score, but he's just getting the warm-up running.
Looking really fired up for this crucial heat. We highlight it regularly. This event, success in the first contest often means a fantastic finish at the end of the season.
Nonetheless, Kelly is in the lead right now, so there's a lot left in this heat.
Well, let's see what Stuart Kennedy can do with this section. A big speed float through to the inside, finding those steeper insiders. Bede mentioned that would be the game plan. He drifts that tail, an explosive surfer. And not too dissimilar to the Adam Melling style and approach that we've seen in recent times on the championship tour. Both those surfers from the same area. And Stuart surfing with a lot of release and speed there.
He doesn't experiment and change a lot. He's been riding this board more or less for a long time, and you can see it. He looks so comfortable, and there's all that flow we're talking about. He has speed on tap. It actually generates speed out of that snap right there. But again, wave quality. Right now, the waves have been a little sleepy in this heat. There hasn't been a whole lot on tap. But if he wants to get a big score, he's going to have to hook into a long wall.
Increase helps when you're surfing against an 11-time world champ. A 5.1 on his last wave. Kelly is now chasing a 3.43 to get himself into the lead. Just a smooth float to start, and Kelly is out. 12 minutes remaining. We'll see the replay after the break. Stay with us. You're watching the Quiksilver Pro.
West Oz, I'm not sure as much, but a right-hand point break, as you mentioned, he's got those Mick Fanning-esque type carves. He's just got that major wind-up. Very athletic. It's got that X factor where he just kind of winds up his upper body. The lower body's almost going in a different direction, and it gives him a ton of torque. That's why he kind of just whips through those carves. And just like Mick Fanning and Adam Melling and a few other guys on tour, they somehow seem to get speed out of their turns. Really cool to see.
Well, this guy was such an underrated surfer as he came through the amateur ranks. Really performed well on the Australian Pro Junior circuit. Be a monster number, but he might just increase his lead. He's looking to get rid of a 4.5. I think he's just done that. A 6.23 on his last wave. So Kelly, that requirement is growing with every wave that Stuart catches, and he now needs a 5.17.
The waves right now are just pretty grumpy. There hasn't been a ton of those waves. The first heat, Adriano hooked into a couple of nice walls. We saw Wade Carmichael make a couple of mistakes, but he had amazing waves. So right now you can see it's just going through, I think the tide's coming up pretty high. So we'll have to see if these guys can tap into a good wave. It's yet to come in this heat.
Well, Stuart, he's having a look at this one, but Kelly has that priority. Kelly opts to let it go, and Stuart gets an opportunity to dig in here, but he opts to kick out, wants to hold his position at the top of the point. Well,
Bede, what's your assessment on the tide coming in and how it will affect the waves, as well as the direction of this well?
Yeah, I think it will get better, you know, like look at this wave shaping up for Kelly here. It's looking really good so far. And yeah, here we go. Now it's going into this section here, and that Kelly can do his money turns, you know, he just wants to release big sprays, and this is definitely looking like the best wave of the heat for sure. And wow, that board's so good when he can get square off the bottom and come around and jam it. It's going to be going all the way down to Greenmount here. This is his second one all the way down. And it just gets a little swirly when it comes out on the face like that, but if he can get one more good finish here, we'll yeah, put it away. That's going to be a really good score there. So legs are burning. These legs are going to be jelly with lactic acid. Get on the ski and get back out there 5 minutes to go, but the pressure's on Stewie.
Well, a lot of cheering from the beach for Kelly Slater. I think Stuart Kennedy might have had a wave too, and he is on the back of the sled as well. Kelly Slater needed a 5.17. Let's see what happened out the back here. Ross, take us through this ride.
Wow, okay, there's definitely a little extra speed from Stewie compared to Kelly, and you can see it, just that little zap through that turn. Wow, so that was extremely committed. That was a big effort from Stewie. Saw the finger snap. And we'll see where the judges go with that. These are two different rides running. Kelly, a lot of turns, and you know, he had some serious weight behind a couple of those carves on the inside. And just like Bede said, as soon as he gets to that big old facey curve in the wave, when he gets that response he's looking for, the board looks magic. He's gonna get around this section. This is the turn. Sorry, it's the next one. He's got a big green wall ahead of him, and you can see that board just totally lights up. But it's a long wave. You know, he's just kind of connecting the dots, waiting for that money section. So totally two different types of scores here for the judges to deliberate. It's going to be a tricky one.
And there's a bit of a horse race happening back to the takeoff zone at this point in time. Kelly rode his wave way through to the inside. Stewie Kennedy's ride a lot shorter, a little bit steeper. Where do you think Stuart's ride's going to go? Do you think it's the best wave of the heat so far?
I personally do. I really love the fact that he committed to some heavy maneuvers. You know, those are high risk. You got to give it a reward there. You know, he could have just went for a big old layback pin, which would have been a safety move, so to speak, but he went for it.
And he got rewarded in a big way, a 9.5 for Stuart Kennedy on that last wave, and he's up again, and he is surfing with a lot of confidence now. This wave is standing up beautifully. He's hung onto the inside throughout this heat. That was the game plan. Avoid those bigger set waves that push wide. Find a steep section that you can set your fins free on, and 9.5 is a big number though.
It is, that's huge. So obviously the judges, they really were happy and psyched about the risk that Stuart threw into that wave. He was you know, like I said, that wave, he could have just laid back a bit and got an 8. Instead, he really went for it and got the extra 1.5.
Well, Kelly's looking for a wave, I think, similar to what Stuart has had. Stewie's had those waves that he's been able to actually bottom turn from the takeoff and go straight into his first turn. Yeah. Whereas Kelly's had those ones that have been kind of sleepers, cruising down the line, waiting for it to steepen up so he can actually get, as Pete Derbysh put it, his money turns done.
Right.
Then he got a 6.23, then he really lit up a 9.5. This heat has just come to a close, and Stuart Kennedy, a huge upset.
He's stoked.
And this is, well, the biggest result, heat win of Stuart's life.